Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf. Today I thought I would do a cocktail for you, one of the all-time classics, the Old Fashioned. So this is how I do it, so let's get into it. Got myself a rocks glass here. The first thing I'm going to do is add simple syrup. This is a honey syrup actually. Some people add a sugar cube and hit it with bitters and mull it. I make my own honey syrup, and the way I make that is it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So take a tablespoon measure like this and take a scoop of honey, another scoop of honey, and then 4 scoops of warm water. So it's a 2-to-1, and then swirl it around. The reason I use warm water is that it dissolves the honey into this really good syrup here. So, like I said, some people use a sugar cube, but I use honey syrup because I think it adds a whole nother layer of flavor to the cocktail that I think is really important. So you'll see that I'm actually measuring this out. And that's 1 full tablespoon of honey syrup. The reason I'm measuring things is that cocktail making is a lot like baking. If you bake something and just wing it, it's going to come out really screwed up. So the thing with cocktails is you want to get the balance perfect, right? You don't want the drink so overpowering with alcohol that nobody can drink it, or you don't want it so sickly sweet that people are like, ugh, I don't really like that either. So, making cocktails is a little bit of a science, and that's why I say, just like baking, measure things out, and you'll come out with a much better cocktail that way. So the first thing I have in here is 1 tablespoon of simple syrup. The next thing I'm going to add to this is a couple of dashes of Angostura bitters and then some orange bitters. I really recommend orange bitters. If you don't have it, pick it up. It goes great with whiskey cocktails. So I'll swirl that up a little bit. If you don't know, bitters are essentially botanicals, and they give the cocktail this really floral quality. It's kind of weird, like the name bitters, you think, oh, that's going to make the cocktail really bitter. No, it really doesn't. It's just a very botanical, very floral quality. And when you add that to the honey syrup, you have this incredible base. The next thing I'm going to do is add my ice ball. If you don't have these little ice ball makers, just pick them up on Amazon. I really recommend them. You don't want to use ice cubes in a drink like this, because ice cubes, once they hit the glass and you hit them with a little whiskey or really any other ingredient like the bitters or whatever, the ice cubes will start to melt immediately, and you'll get this really diluted cocktail. And that's not what you want. You don't want the ice ball to melt. Or if you want it to melt, you want it to melt really gradually, which is really nice actually, because then usually a few minutes into the cocktail, the ice ball is melted a little bit and you enter this like perfect sweet zone of the cocktail. The next thing I'm going to add is the whiskey. So if you remember, or if you tuned into the channel, I did a video on great whiskeys under $30. So this is a little bonus. I didn't include this one. This is a Jim Beam product called Old Tub. If I see a whiskey on the shelf called Old Tub, I've got to have it. So it's 100 proof. It's, again, a bottled and bond whiskey. This whiskey, in my opinion, is a little rough around the edges. It's not like Angel's Envy. It's not a real sophisticated bourbon. But I'll tell you why I don't care. And that's an Old Fashioned is kind of a sweeter cocktail. And I'm adding 1.5 ounces right there. And if you make a sweeter cocktail with a really sweet bourbon, like Angel's Envy or Old Forester 1910, then you're going to have a cocktail that, in my opinion, is just too sweet. So a bourbon like this, which is 19 bucks, by the way, a bourbon like this that, like I said, is a little rough around the edges. It's a little spicy. It's got some cinnamon and baking spices in it. That's the perfect foil against the sweetness of the honey syrup and the botanicals in the bitters. All right, so we got that mixed up. Now I'm going to take an orange, and what you want to do is carve yourself off a really nice wide orange peel. And then express the oils from the orange peel into your glass. And make sure that you rub it around the edges, both inside and out. And then we're going to slide that orange peel right into the cocktail like that. Then you can take some Luxardo cherries. Now, Luxardo cherries are not cheap. So, first of all, a cherry is optional in an old fashioned anyway. A lot of people don't add cherries into old fashions. So it's absolutely no problem not to have it. I like them sometimes. Sometimes I'll do an old fashioned without them. But I've got some Luxardo cherries, so I'm going to add one, and I'm going to let the juice of the Luxardo cherry kind of drizzle through the cocktail. If you have maraschino cherries at home, I don't recommend using maraschino cherries with the old fashioned. I really love maraschino cherries, but they're good in other kinds of cocktails. Personally, I don't think they work as well with this kind of cocktail. The Luxardo is perfect, and hey, why not? Let's dip a little bit more of the Luxardo juice in there and drizzle it into the cocktail. There we go. All right. And there you have it. You've got a classic old-fashioned honey syrup, some bitters, some whiskey, an orange peel. The orange peel is essential. When you lift that glass up and take a sip, you just get this burst of orange zest and orange oil. It's fantastic. That's really good. So that's my old fashioned. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you make your old fashioned. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe and give me a like, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot, everyone.